So let us discuss the basic of on introduction. So that is what the first part of this is, the introduction. And this is the format which will be following for writing the research proposal as per the university. Now, basically, the introduction is what? You have to give backgrounds about the topic. Assume that you are writing for a layman. Don't presume that the other person understands your subject better. That is my request. That make it as simple as possible, right? And if you can give some references, which should be 2010 onwards, not before 2010. 10 साल अभी तो 20 हो गया ना, तो 10 साल पुराना रेफरेंस चलेगा. Ideally speaking, you should add till 2021. But if you are, because you will get PhD in 20, if your topic is cleared, that is my objective, to clear before December. If that is cleared, then you calculate 2 years. That means by 23, you should submit the thesis. This is my myself has given it. Normally I give my objective to myself for each student. And then though some of you will swim, some of you will not swim, then I'll push. And I do personally, I help the student also. So don't worry, that is my job. I'm not giving any favor. Now, the introduction, what you to write, what am I studying? Very, very important. Because when I'm reading your introduction, I should be clear. So normally in my earlier days, what I used to do, I used to ask my wife, please read it and tell me, have you understood? Like I'm at present, I'm correcting some papers. So I have told my wife, you please just check whether I have done totally correct hai, galat hai. Because when you have a physical examination correction, our strategies, they recorrects, whether there is an error. Examination controller job is to correct. But now there is no examination controller online. So I told my wife, you correct, so that in case there is an error, किसी का मार्क्स कम हो गया, ज़्यादा हो गया, so at least you can point out. So that's what I am trying to do for the last 2-3 days. So why it is important question you have to ask? Why should reader read your topic? Ask yourself. Why you should read? What is the interest level? Right? So you have to make it interesting. Like it, in marketing, they always say that marketing people should work like a girl wearing a bikini. You should show which is relevant. Don't show which is not relevant. So you have to be very, very careful. At the same time, the readers are interested to know. So make it interesting. Right? Jo dikhta hai, wo bikhta hai. So what you write is very, very important. What do we know already about it? That you should write. And what basis do I need to provide the reader can understand my study? That is the question you have to ask when you're writing introduction. Introduction basically is like, opener, in selling, the opening sentence is very, very important. That's what we always tell my salespeople in the in-house company program, which I do. I said the first 2 sentences are very important because that can break the ice or he can block the door. So the first few sentences in introduction is important. So what I have done, let's give the example. For an example, I'm just sharing my thought process from my current research paper. Like a comparative advertisement in building brands by a leader and a challenging brand. This was basically a study on the Dabur honey versus Patanjali honey. This has already appeared in the published already in 2 journals. So I have given a statement like comparative advertisement mentions a competitor by name, right? And why, sorry, I'll just make it a little shorter. Why the competitor is inferior to the challenging brand. And I have given the reference of Chen et al. 2009, Beer 2010, and my own reference 2018. And then I have said that I have given an earlier reference of Grewal, saying that finding of Grewal et al. Can be generalized due to demographic and cultural difference, because he was saying that doesn't make sense. So what here I'm trying to say in the introduction, that it makes sense to compare, because Grewal says comparison se koi matlab nahi hai. Consumers are intelligent enough to understand. So why should you compare the brand? I said US में चलेगा, but India में नहीं चलेगा, because Indian people like to know, understand the subject better. India on comparative advertisement, especially indirect comparative advertisement, are still in infancy, because this was approved by the government, by the Supreme Court in 2014, that they gave a judgment that comparative advertisement is valid, provided, it is validated by rationality, by rational facts and figures. So you can use that, and that was a Supreme Court judgment. And after 2014 onwards, the comparative advertisement have started. So that is what I have given in the introduction. And then I have carried forward that there are different reports on the effect of direct and indirect comparative advertising. I'm just trying to explain the introduction part of it. But little research has been done to explain and predict the difference in response based on gender and religion. Again, I have given my own reference from 2018. Therefore, try to understand this line. Therefore, the study aims to test the effect of direct comparative advertising in emerging market like India with reference to gender and religion in low involvement product like honey. Now I'm trying to justify why I have taken this subject. The aim is, that's what I'm saying, the aim is important. And since the aim is important, I'm trying to justify that this is not done earlier, so I have done this. The study also tries to extend the uses of theory of elaboration likelihood model, ELM, of persuasion, as propounded by Petty Cassioppo, 1986. It is a theory. So theory, I can use it for the old theories. So I'm just trying to explain that how people behave, in basically this ELM theory is related to on attitude. And those who have done some work on attitude, the attitude can be explained through the ELM theory of peripheral left brain and the right brain, or the peripheral, the peripheral brain is more active than the central brain. So there is a concept of central brain and peripheral brain, and peripheral brain being more active. That when, as we go further, you'll understand. Don't get confused with this. But I'm just trying to say that I'm trying to here introduce what theory I'm going to use subsequently in the literature review, and subsequently in my, the explanation related to the result. Because I have to explain why people behave like this. So I'm introducing one. First is I have introduced the subject. Then I have said what is my aim of the study, and then I brought in the concept of what theory I'm using it, right? This has already been published in the International Journal of Pharmaceutical Marketing, which is a Emerald publication, and in pharma related journal, it is #1, which you can verify. Then the last line I'm saying, the contribution. So what? So what means the present study will be useful in context of South Asia region, which has an influence of Hinduism and Muslim followership, and are emerging as a destination for global brands. So I am trying to sell that mere topic mein kya dam hai. If you remember the sentence which I said, so you have to explain that why it is so great about this topic. The research may shed some insight on the role of religion and gender on acceptance of direct comparative advertisement of low involved brands. Low involved means jahan paise kharcha kam hota hai. So this is how I have introduced the subject in my research paper. Don't worry, this is maybe आपको proposal में भी कैसे लिखना है, I will just explain. But try to understand that when you are writing the introduction, पहली बार आपको ये बताना है, you are explaining to a layman. Then you are trying to write why it is so important. Then give some references if possible. But you see, I have not said so many, that author has said, no, I am making the sentence in my own word, right? You not just say that Vijayashree said like this in 2010. No, I am using my own word, right? You cannot say Dr. Pavaskar has reported his findings so and so thing. No, this is not literature review. This is introduction. So try to understand the difference when we are giving the reference. It has to be in your word. I hope I am with you. Yeah?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Then what I learned, I have given you the example. So what I learned personally, I'm just sharing. You may agree, you may disagree, but this is why it includes a statement of goal of the study. Why it was undertaken. Explain the background of your study, starting from a broad picture, narrowing in on your research questions, which I'll be discussing after the introduction chapter is over. Then you have to write research questions. If you see the second point, need for the study, statement of problems, that will be covering, don't worry. Your mind should be clear. And then give sufficient background information to allow the reader to understand the context and significance of the question you are trying to address. Ye significance of question, I will come back to you little later. Right? Review what is known about your research topic. लोगों ने क्या किया है? जैसे if you see that what I have written down there, कि comparative advertisement ग्रेवाल ने किया है. बहुत से papers available है, right? But India में नहीं हुआ है. Indirectly, I have not mentioned there is no research. I said there is a paucity of similar research in this area, which motivated me to take up this topic. I have not mentioned motivated me because that is not allowed, right? But and there is a paucity of similar research in emerging market like India or Indians contest. So this topic is selected as far as your proposal is concerned. Cite relevant information, very, very important. Whenever you are citing the relevant information, you should not cite old information, outdated 2004 ka, 2000 ka, validity hai hi nahi, because time has changed, right? So this is very, very important. I'll just give you these activities. So what I learned, all cited work should be direct relevant to the goal of the topic. Don't cite irrelevant, इंफॉर्मेशन, राइट? टॉपिक से रिलेटेड है वही साइट करना है, जो नहीं है उसकी जरूरत ही नहीं है. Give enough references such that the reader could be, by going to the library or online, achieve a sophisticated understanding of the context and significance of the questions. Very, very important. Try to cite those who had the idea or the idea first, but also cite those who have done the most recent and relevant work. That's what, if you see the reviewers comment, they say, अरे pandemic तो आपने 2014 का कोट किया है, अभी pandemic जो 2020 में है. So how you are relating that study with our present study? So you have to cite the recent as well as also link that findings with the recent one. This is not the place to summarize everything in introduction. You have read on a subject. So please understand that you cannot summarize in the introduction, right? Because it's not an abstract. You are introducing the subject to the reader. Please remember this point. Explain the scope of your work, what will and will not be included. If you're answering only part of the questions which you have posted, this we'll discuss after the introduction chapter is over. So we'll keep it for pending for after completion of this subject. It should be labeled that it should be easy to understand. Don't use the jargon, right? Try to make it simpler, because people are here to not to know how good are you in English. People are here to understand whether you can communicate well in the introduction about the subject. Am I clear? Right?
Yes, sir.
Now let me give you another example. Say, for an example, measuring advertising effectiveness through a new positioning approach. This was published in 2021 or 2020, I think, I don't know. So this is on bridge positioning. So as it is a bridge positioning, you will find only my reference, because I was the one who has propounded this concept. If you go to Google, you'll find my papers are there, 4 or 5 papers are there. So this is the bridge positioning. So I'm just trying to explain what is this new positioning approach, because the headline says new positioning approach. I have not used the word bridge positioning, because if I use the word bridge positioning, the paper will be rejected. I have used it earlier, so it got rejected. It is a concept paper. We don't understand what is bridge positioning. So I said new positioning approach, and then build this concept in the introduction itself. So that's how I'm trying to build in, that it creates a distinct identity or those things. So that's thus the aim of the current work is to close this gap between USP based positioning and consumer perception, and compare the effectiveness of prototypical positioning strategies of the brand from a consumer perspective, and thus provide a brand manager and the advertising professionals with empirical based insight for making sound positioning decisions and helping to optimize advertising effectiveness to purchase decisions. So that is the objective. In the introduction, should also have the objective. What is my objective? As I have explained to you earlier, aim of the study. Therefore, to better read the nature of brand positioning itself, a distinction between intended, actual, and perceived positioning need to be taken out. Now I'm trying to justify इस पेपर में क्यों अलग है. That is what I'm saying. पहले मैंने aim बताया, right? Aim, you can, when we will write the research proposal, aim is normally written later. But here, aim के बाद हमने contribution बताया कि इस पेपर का क्या महत्व है, क्या importance है. That's what we are trying to say. Will the bridge positioning approach plays a role in bridging the gap between the customer perception and the brand USP, that is a USP, using unique customer perception instead of USP position statement. So this becomes my question approach. Now, what I learned, this is the last but one slides for the introduction. What I learned, one, break down into subtopics. You write down the topic, then break down. For an example, if you are writing a comparative effect, study on effect of fragrance and music on consumer purchase behavior. So one topic will be role of fragrance and music on purchase behavior, Indian scenario. Then then you have to give data. Whenever you give data, you should always give source. I'll go further, don't worry. And when you're writing a statement, give source. When you're making a blanket statement, I can catch you, even your plagiarism software can catch you, that is taken from so and so person. So always, any confusion till now from my side? If no confusion, then I will, this is a question I put. If you are liberty to ask questions, if you are clear.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Anybody else? Then the content is like this. This is the content. You have to write down introduction. Then the introduction, it is broken down. The topic is corporate image and service quality on perception of stakeholders. Number 2, 1.2, role of generation X and Y in banking sector. Then 1.3, this is I'm related to Indian introduction ki baat kar raha hu. Indian banking sector. Then 1.4, a perception of customer towards bank. So then comes statement of problems and need for the study. So that is how the introduction is broken down into subtopics, right? At the same time, you have to add on a missing tha, a reason se humne liya. You have to keep on justifying under each, trying to find out by why the topic is important. Ek do line wo likhna padta hai. Any confusion from my side?
No, sir.
And then these are the the timetable which will the index which we will cover later. This is also part of the page that is page 2. Now this will become a page 3 index. So this is normally the page 3 will be the index, content, list of tables. So list of tables, that means how many tables are there. So this is the table, list of tables ka ek hota hai. So that is the first 3 pages or first 4 pages are important, because if you don't attach, then the university people say ye nahi chalega, because they just see ye hai to accept. Otherwise they'll say, they will just harass you. So you should be mentally have a lot of patience dealing with the university officials. Of course, Pavaskar ji understand it better because he deals with the university officials very often. Is he there or is he locked off?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm here.
Now, just to give you the same what we have mentioned. So the topic hai, which is already approved topic, a study of corporate image and service quality, among generation X and Y. Now, the introduction is mentioned, and if you see the first, this is the first 2 paragraphs I have just copied, and this one. So they are just trying to explain which are important, which are not important in this one. Then 1.1, corporate image and service quality and perception of stakeholders. So the information is given about what is the corporate image, what is the service quality, and how it affects the perception of the stakeholders. Simple hai, there's nothing great I'm talking to you, but you have to explain how it is relevant. Then role of generation X and Y. So I have given definition of the generation X ka matlab kya hota hai, and then I have given a reference, on the published data, because this research proposal, was the pointer was raised that you cannot give www or .com or Wikipedia. So you have to give reference of the published reference. So that's how we are happening. Then importance of Generation Z in banking sector, because I'm focusing more on Generation Z. So I'm trying to say how Generation Z are important. So there's some references we have given in the introduction chapter itself, but it is in our own sentence, not quoted from the authors. Please remember that in an introduction, you are talking. So when you are talking, you cannot talk on behalf of others. Just to make it in a very crude sentence, I'm trying to explain. So, but still people write, introduction. उन्होंने ऐसा बोला है, we are not interested आप दूसरे ने क्या बोला. Introduction में आप क्या बोल रहे हो वो लिखना है, right? You may quote that in bracket that I have taken this idea from so and so author. That's all. But you cannot just say that Dr. Sharma had written like this, or Dr. Pavaskar has mentioned in the introduction. That will not be correct. Then 1.3 is say Indian banking sector. So we have described what is the banking sector, RBI ke bare mein bataya hai. Just to then the leading bank. I will give you some off-track example, live example. During my consulting period, 2 years back, in one of my clients before Corona time, one of my client company, the manager was about to be sacked. I was there in that day. Saturdays is normally I don't go to college. I go to my client companies. So I was in my client company, and that time their meeting was going on, so they knew that I'm coming. So the decision was taken to remove one Mr. From Rohtak, this manager from this client company, that he is not been performing for the last 3 years. So remove him. Why? The problem was this, that he is not performing for the last 3 years, not achieving the target. So in marketing वालों का IRM गैरम बहुत strict होता है. So जैसे 3 साल से हमने warning दिया, कुछ नहीं किया. How long we should tolerate the a person who is living on the performance of others. So this was a sentence used by the HR person, HR head. And I said, fine, I appreciate your thought process. Director marketing was also there. So I said, I appreciate, but have you gone into detail if the person who is there in the company for the last 15 years and only during the last 3 years he's not performing, he got 2 promotions. Why not performing? Did you investigate? He says, why? Data says we don't want to give him chance. But a decision was taken. So I said, can you give 1 week? Delay the decision by 1 week. He said, why? He said, just send one local adjoining person from Western India. This is near Rohtak se ekdam paas mein hai, Saharanpur. So let this manager go there and try to find out what are the issues. Senior manager. So he went there. He reported that sir, उसकी शादी हुई है, 2 साल हुआ है. पहले 1 साल तो ठीक है और इधर-उधर चला जाता है. So 2 साल हुआ है, and there is a pressure from the family because he is a Jat. And being a Jat, if you should understand, like, in Kerala, mein Nambudiri, Pillai, after the marriage, they are no more, they will not take care of the boy's parents. The boy has to take care of the child, of the girl's parents. It is the issue. So he's a Jat. So he said, sir, because of the pressure, he is the only son and the girl is the only daughter. So what to do? He's not able to balance his family life. So he's not able to perform. He's a manager. So he's not going. So naturally people will say, Jaisi Raja, Vaisi Praja. So people also take it lightly. So I said, you transfer me to Delhi. After 1 week, report came I said, then I again meeting took place on next Saturday. I said, you transfer him to Delhi. So the director of marketing said, sir, you're wasting your time, our time. I said, I've been attached to you as a consultant for couple of years. Let me not use the word donkey's years. Let me use the word couple of years. So, you have valued my judgment. So, thoda mere baal safed ka thoda इज्जत तो रखो, and my positions which I occupied. So everything decision cannot be taken only facts and figures. Sometimes you have to be rational. So fortunately for me, the other two gentlemen agreed. So three of them and MD also came in. क्या issue चल रहा है इतना serious? So I just mentioned to him, normally MD doesn't bother, but he was there. So I just went, yeah, you go ahead. We are with him. He was there for so many years. He has brought the company. थोड़ा past record था अच्छा, तो even the newcomer has to listen. So he was transferred, and believe me, the person today is the zonal manager. He got within a मैंने अभी सुना उसको promotion वापस मिल गया. So can you imagine we could have lost? Actual problem क्या था? Why I gave you this off-track example? Because just to make you understand that many times we see the problem superficially and we make judgment that ऐसे ही होता है. But you must go deep, and in research, you have to go deep to understand the real problem. Then only research होगा ना. Superficial से नहीं होता. एक दो line आपने लिख दिया. One of your colleague has sent me a note. ये topic है, ये reason है. I don't eat half-cooked food because I'll get a diarrhea. So better cook it well and then present it. So don't prepare anything which is not acceptable first by you, right? You ask yourself, have I done justice? Is it the right problem? That's why I gave you थोड़ा आपका 5 minute लिया मैंने, लेकिन just to make you understand. So symptoms can be confusing. That's what, this slide I've been using for many years. Symptoms can be confusing. So you have to recognize. The research means recognition of information need. This is copied slide. Let me, accept that I have copied this from Pearson publication they have given. Then I like this slide. So research का उसने पूरा definition दिया है. Recognition of information need, effective decision making, systematic and objective, exclude or disseminate information, analysis of information, recommendation for action, collection of information, hopeful to manage. This is what he has defined research. And the problem he has defined as past information and the forecast. What will happen if problem is not resolved? Resource and constraints, objective, bias behavior, legal environment, economic environment, marketing and technological skills. All these are important factors for identifying the research problem. Having discussed the basic theoretical framework, let us go to some examples. For an example, a research problem refers to some difficulty that a research experience in the context of either a theoretical or practical situation and wants to obtain a solution for the same. For example, why attrition rate in Taj Hotel is the lowest compared to ITC? Right? Have I conducted a preliminary study on an exploration of the issues and the problem at hand? You have to study. You have to find out क्यों होता है, right? An experience survey means taking a relevant people in the field. Ask some people, क्यों आपकी कंपनी में ज़्यादा लोग छोड़ के जाते हैं, right? Why people are leaving? For an example, I was told that in Accenture, recently they have sacked something around 10,000 people across globe. It has never happened during the Corona time. What is their fault? While Godrej have not sacked, they have reduced the salary, right? But they are not sacked. Tatas have never sacked. So these are the companies, which get respect. Hire and fire, okay, is American philosophy. But you will not get good people. So developing a research problem, one, identify a broad field or the subject area of interest like attrition. Then direct the broad area into sub areas like class of people. किस segment में attrition rate ज़्यादा है, lower level पे है, कि middle level पे manager पे ज़्यादा है, या then or how if you are talking about the hotel industry, since it is rated hotel, then कौन से segment room service में है, कि banquet में ज़्यादा है, select what is of most interest to you. Banquet, personal, or room service, right? Because they are the people who are always on the firing line in hotel industries. Then comes raise research question: why attrition rate is high in ITC in room service as compared to Taj? So we have narrowed down the problem area on attrition to room service. Am I with you? So what I've done through these two examples, first is broad-based problems, and then trying to lower down to small issues, and then try to see how to find out objective, therefore, is to find out the attrition rate in ITC in room service. Assess your objective, number of people living in a year. That's how I have studied that. This is how I'll be studying. बाद में you can add more important points. Am I clear till now how to develop, what is the understanding of research problem and how to research develop a problem? Then comes
Yes.
example number 2, step 1. If you are studying marketing, hospitality, you might be interested in researching consumer behavior or say customer satisfaction. So if you are studying customer satisfaction, then you develop a profile of a customer. एक कंपनी के कस्टमर कौन है, या फॉर एन एग्जांपल कोरोना टाइम में who are the people buying, what they suppose I'm trying to study comparative study a big basket versus Reliance, Jio, how they are their customers are satisfied with the big basket or Reliance, Jio, why big basket. So the point which I'm trying to say that the measurement of customer satisfaction, you have to understand the customer's profile. The step number 3, select what is the most interest to you. आपका टॉपिक से क्या रिलेटेड है वही लेना है, बाकी छोड़ दो आप, राइट? ऑनलाइन परचेज ऑफ, मेरा टॉपिक था ऑनलाइन परचेज बिहेवियर of consumer. So I cannot cover all online purchase. So I mentioned grocery items. So उससे big basket आ जाता है, Reliance Jio भी आ जाता है, right? And now I was told that even other retailers have also gone into that online website they have created. So you have to select which area is of interest to you. And then step 4, raise questions. What is the effect of customer satisfaction? Expectation, sorry. What is the effect of customer expectation on customer satisfaction? Because if customer is expecting something and you are doing something else, there will be dissatisfaction, right? There is a typical model of Parasuram model is there. Find out the gap, expectation versus customer satisfaction, and you can fill the gap. That means you are on different parameters, then you can definitely do that. What is the effect of service quality and customer satisfaction? What is the effect of word of mouth on customer satisfaction? Again, related to hospitality sector or any other sector. So, Then 5th is formulate the objective. Objective will be covering later in detail, right? So I'll be quickly going through that. So the objective will be based on the research questions. So we'll cover this objective little later. So when you are writing a statement, problem statement should have following characteristics. Identify the key variables in the study. Will brand recall will go up if content, advertising endorsed by celebrity, right? Will content and will not will, content advertising endorsed by celebrity, impact of content advertising. I'm just rephrasing the sentence. You have to form in a question to whether the content advertising endorsed by the celebrity will improve the brand recall. Question mark. So the research question. Express relationship between two. So what are the two variables? One is the content advertising is independent variable, and what is the dependent variable is the brand recall. Am I clear?
Yes.
Again,
Yes.
related to Corona, whether the younger generation will purchase more online the grocery items compared to the older people. Problem, right? Because my topic is Corona, purchase behavior of consumer during Corona time with respect to grocery item. So I have raised this question whether younger people will purchase more compared to the older generation, older people, or generation X compared to generation Y, whether generation Y will purchase more, or generation Z, born after 1995, generation Z, whether they will buy more through online compared to the generation X, so born before 1985, or there is a limit there. So before 1985, all the X, 85, 86 to 95 is Y, and then Z is after 1985. But there is some references there. So this reference has to be there. According mota mota ye hota hai. Is what I understood. Then the statement could be declarative. That means there is a relationship. It has to be investigated. Statement, and then we find that there is a problem. Based on this, there are issues on non-performance of Rohtak man. So this is the problem. So there is a statement. This is the problem. So research question is what? So this is a research question, right? There is a problem, right? But how will you resolve? That is the objective. But one is a declarative, and second is you raise a question mark. But in research, normally people, it is better to write RQ1, RQ2, RQ3, because all the research questions which will be raising while writing the introduction, you have to link the same with the objective and the hypothesis. So therefore, try to bring in as many variables as possible, one or two variables in each research problem, so that at least चार है तो at least 5-6 variables cover हो जाते हैं in these research questions. Yeah. So putting all together, so this is just a theory that I will quickly go through. One is the management problem, marketing research problem, marketing research objective. So these are different things. So let's not talk. Okay, so that I can finish it on time. So what is the research question? Why have organizations introduced early retirement? What are the consequences of early retirement scheme? Because if you knock off senior people, you can recruit younger people, but will the organization prosper? To identify organization objective for introducing retirement scheme. To describe the consequences of early retirement scheme. This is research objective. The research question is, early retirement scheme क्यों होना चाहिए? दूसरा जो है इस स्कीम का ऑर्गेनाइजेशन पे क्या इफेक्ट होगा, right? In fact, in US, I was just reading nowadays, people are employing a lot of senior people because they need a maturity. A decision-making process requires experience and maturity. So when you are in crisis, you have to go to the matured people because you're gonna take decisions on hunches, right? Unless you have, I always say, experience curves, a learning curve. If you are young and your learning curve also goes up, for an example, as you're doing PhD, your learning curve will go up, your thinking process will go up, and your decision-making ability will also go side by side. So you will become more mature because you are all. So I finished the 3 part, and the next Friday lecture will be on literature review, which will be a lengthy lecture. So I kept the full time, and then identification of variables will be short one. Then developing theoretical construct will be a detailed one. Any questions if you have now? Thank you very much. God bless.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. And you are
Thank you,
always
sir.
telephone to me in case if you have any issues.